Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Now, every Friday on the show, we take you through happenings across Eastern and Southern Africa. And we'll begin today with Southern Africa. We have Tebogo Mukoto, who, of course, makes a brief return after a return after a brief hiatus. He's currently in Moscow. Good morning, Tebogo. And how is Moscow this morning?
Good morning, Olive. Good morning, Asagi. Moscow is absolutely spectacular. I think I've been here now for almost 2 weeks of really in waking up to certain realities. You know what I mean? Because I arrived in the country thinking I'm going into a war zone, none of which is the case. So I don't know. Maybe wars in Africa are much more different than uh, they happen when it comes to our European counterparts, or maybe they're happening further from Moscow. But yeah, Moscow is really quite a bustling city. People are moving along, doing what they need to be doing, and just carrying on with life, and everything is surprisingly very normal.
Okay, well, pretty interesting. And since you're there, you definitely would have an answer to the questions we have for you this morning concerning Russian President Vladimir Putin and his decision to not attend the BRICS summit. It seems, of course, it has now been the whole conversation has been laid to rest. That the Foreign Affairs Minister Sergei Lavrov will take Putin's place at the summit. But let's talk about this. The whole idea of South Africa arriving President Putin if he gets to South Africa, and of course President Cyril Ramaphosa is saying otherwise, the EFF saying otherwise, and the likes. Where does it currently stand, and do you think Putin has made the best decision?
In terms of the president deciding to place his foreign affairs minister, I think obviously I'll look at it from two perspectives. I think in terms of avoiding a diplomatic nightmare that they've been contemplating on for quite some time. They've really done good in terms of really making sure that everything remains as strategic as possible, because we're looking at the president being arrested upon arrival into South Africa. And South Africa was bound by international law to actually take this action come August. So I think they've swiftly avoided having to be seen as not honoring their obligations when it comes to the ICC by strategically placing Lavrov instead of receiving the Russian president into South Africa this August. At the same time, some have looked at it as succumbing to pressure from international policies that need changing anyway. So at the same time, we're looking at it from that perspective that South Africa ultimately had to stay choose to stay loyal to the commitments that it has made with the ICC, despite being committed to BRICS as well, which is a really tough call to make. But I think in terms of strategy and in terms of avoiding a diplomatic disaster, they have done very well.
Right. Interesting. I mean, the interesting fact there would be that he will still attend virtually and he will still be able to deliver all his speeches virtually as well. Like you've mentioned, several reactions. Some people are wondering why Cyril Ramaphosa would allow himself cave to the pressure from the international community. But then the South Africa did find itself in a very complicated situation. Let's move away from there. Yesterday we spoke about Elizabeth Valerio, who is the leader of the Opposition United Zimbabwe Alliance, UZA party, and she was being cleared by the High Court to contest the presidential election scheduled for the 23rd of August. Now, she's the only female candidate among the 12 vying for the country's top job. Tell us what this means for the women in Zimbabwe and their involvement in politics and leadership, and the impact that this may or may not have on the election.
Well, Olive, I think this really speaks volumes in terms of women in politics, especially in Southern Africa. You'll understand that it's been quite a tumultuous road for a lot of them, including in Botswana as well, which I've looked at very closely, with some resigning from the BDP as well, drawing closer to the elections. Now, with Valerio in Zimbabwe, it's a big win. The court ultimately acceded to her appeal, making her the only female presidential candidate in Zimbabwe's upcoming election. Now, a lot of issues, of course, surrounded payment that was required from presidential elections being late and her papers not being submitted on time. The Electoral Commission in Zimbabwe tried by all means to ensure that she's tied up in some sort of kerfuffle that really, even her, she has come out to say, it has taken so much time in terms of her launching a campaign for elections, and she said she's trying her best to make sure that they rally up their supporters and make sure that the vote or the delays in terms of having court action so close to the election does not affect or really impact the electoral numbers in a large margin. So we're hoping that it will work at this time. Of course, a lot of time has been lost, but we're hoping that it works because I don't think it only speaks to regional politics in Southern Africa, but maybe across Africa and the rest of the world as well. As we know that, international bodies have been saying there's need for more women representation in politics, and really seeing women vie for the presidential position. It's something that is unprecedented in a lot of countries, and it's something that maybe we need to start seeing a lot more of as women empowerment policies start to take root.
All right, very interesting. We hope that it does, for what it's worth, expand the idea or the mindset of women in politics in Zimbabwe. And, we hope that more of them are, they feel more eager to step out, and be a part of the political process.
If ZANU-PF would allow them.
Well, yeah. But let's quickly touch base in Botswana, of course, as a mindset change has been rooted in both the vision and policy of the current administration in the country. Just this week, President Masisi launched a campaign solely aimed at driving mindset change. Now, what are the people's views on this, and how much impact do you see it having on the citizens? What exactly, even, is mindset change? Because I remember in Nigeria, there was the Good People, Great Nation campaign a couple of years ago that was carried out by Dora Akunyili. But tell us about the mindset change. What is it?
Well, in terms of Botswana, Osaki, mindset change has been one of those aspects that President Mokgweetsi Masisi has been really driving and rooting for. He's looked at, of course, Botswana changing their mindset from because I think when you come to Botswana, you'll realize that we are still somehow rooted in colonial type of thinking. We still look so much to the West for assistance. We look to government for help. We look everywhere. We are not a people that is actually aggressive when it comes to things like entrepreneurship, when it comes to things like really self-reliance. We believe so much in being assisted and really don't have much belief in our capabilities to do things on our own, to really forge on in terms of really just as an individual develop either businesses or concepts that can compete internationally. So we still have that mindset, and I think this goes across all of Africa, where we still believe in that we are inferior to our white counterparts, or we have an inferiority complex that is still persistent even up to this day, where we don't necessarily believe in our capabilities and our intelligence as well. So I think this mindset change campaign is aimed at really dealing with that aspect of the remnants of colonization, that are still prolific in our societies even up to this day. Colonialism is somewhat no longer in play, but you see those tendencies mentally to really, even in service delivery, when a white person walks in, you see a Botswana jump, they're quick to want to help, they're smiling. When a Botswana walks in, it's something totally different. Somebody sluggish, it's like they don't want to be at that particular job to begin with. So it just shows the mindset in terms of us and how we view ourselves currently. And this is something that has really affected Botswana so much. Even in terms of the entertainment industry, you'd find that we value talent from outside the country. In cases of, a talent from South Africa, for example, can get paid 500,000 kuda, and then you'd have an artist from Botswana being paid 15,000, for example, which shows the disparity in terms of the mindset, even in official, in offices where Botswana just don't value themselves in any way that counts in terms of driving the economy. So, these are aspects of it. It's a bit more intricate, but these are aspects of what the president wants to
trying
see
to fix and trying to change.
Yes.
It's very interesting, and I'm hoping the mindset change also comes with, a conscious effort to improve on the livelihood of the average Botswana citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks a lot, Tebogo, for joining us, and we hope that you continue to enjoy Moscow. If you can, stop by in Kiev and say hi to Ukrainians over there. Good morning to you.
I will give that the possibility. If it's possible, I'll make sure to cross over to you guys one way or another.
All right.
Stay safe. All right.